Hello and a very warm welcome to the Late Breaking F1 podcast presented by Harry Eade, Sam Sage and me, Ben Hocking, today previewing the Austrian Grand Prix coming up this weekend. A sprint weekend, of course. Sam, you could almost say, and I might be the first person to ever have said this, could say the hills will be alive with the sound of F1.
Oh, I've not heard this expression before,
Brand
Ben.
new.
Where have you pulled that beauty from?
Original.
Honestly, I will throw myself off of the cliffs if you say it again. Please, I never want to hear it again.
Well, you're in luck because the man who's guilty of saying that all the time isn't commentating.
That's very true, yes.
Oh, is Big Hazza Benjamin back?
Big Hazzy Boo is back
All
on the mic.
And who's co-micing this week? Is it Kirill or is it back to Martin?
I reckon it's potluck at this point. They chuck some things in a hat and go, "Oh, it's your turn."
Ricardo Rosset, I've heard.
Great. Good start to the show, this is.
Good. What are we doing today? We're playing Show Me the Options a bit later.
Whoa, what a jingle.
You know
what
it.
A jingle.
We are, of course, declaring who we think is under pressure or what is under pressure heading into the race weekend. We have our classic space designated for an Alpine topic. This time around, it's that Flavio Briatore is back. But we're going to start with previewing the race itself. And a question that I possibly have never asked to start a preview before, Sam. Given his pole in Barcelona and only being a couple of seconds behind at the flag, is Lando Norris the favourite?
Wow, what a turnaround we've seen in the world of Formula One, where last season Max Verstappen won absolutely everything in the world that there is to win. And now we are 10 races into the new season, and we're asking if Lando Norris and McLaren, who, remember, folks, they finished 17th in the DNF in Bahrain in the first Grand Prix last year, are now optional for the favourites. Crikey, the worst part is, I don't think you're mad for asking. I think there's really a high chance that they could be. The Red Bull has not been the fastest car by a country mile, if not at all, for the last 2 or 3 Grand Prix. We saw it in Monaco. They were not. I would argue that in Spain, they were basically on par with how the McLaren sat. It could be that the McLaren was the fastest overall. And Canada was the same. It felt like Max Verstappen outdrove the car rather than the car being the domineering force. So, yeah, you're very right to answer it. And they went so well this time last year when we came to Austria. They had their upgrades come to form. The engine was running well for them. They're very good through fast-paced corners. And, of course, there aren't many slow-paced corners in Austria. One, I would argue, is kind of slow-paced, and that's what they call turn 3. But we all know it's turn 2, really. So, yeah, I think McLaren and Piastri, who needs to step up as well, could join Norris, as being real favourites. I think they've got a real chance of potentially not only winning, but maybe dominating the weekend. I really do think that McLaren is going to stand out this weekend. I would be shocked if they walk away with no top step appearances over this weekend.
What do you think, Harry? Any chance that Lando Norris is indeed the favourite?
I don't want to say favourite, but there's no doubt. Sorry, I'm not saying no doubt. There's very little doubt in my mind that McLaren aren't going to be in the fight now this weekend, just given where that car seems to be good at all types of circuits. We've gone from Miami, Imola, Canada to Spain, and it's been in the fight at all of them. So whether they're the favourite or not, I don't think you can say that just yet, because the form book still indicates that Max Verstappen is still winning pretty much all the races, despite the fact that they're the car may know what the quickest out there. So are they the favourites? I don't know, because Max Verstappen is still in that car, but. Yeah, like you say, Sam, I think they've got to be strong just based on where they've been in the past few races. They have to be strong. So it's going to be an interesting weekend. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they do end up on the top step of a podium for one of the races we have, because of course we have a sprint race this weekend.
Yeah, double the opportunity for McLaren, I guess. Yeah, I'm still saying that Max Verstappen is the favourite for the very reason that you gave, Harry, which is he keeps winning races. Yes, he's come under a lot of stress in recent Grand Prix from Ferrari, from McLaren at different races, but he has won 3 of the last 4 Grand Prix, and he keeps finding a way to win, and that is ultimately what the best of the best do. When they have a dominant car, as Verstappen has done, he has sweeped up win after win. When the car's not quite as good and he has competition, he's able to make those clinical moves as he did in Barcelona on Russell, and win by just enough. He's proven that he can win multiple ways, and again, that's what the best do. And I think for Red Bull, Austria could be a little bit stronger than what they were in Barcelona, but likewise, I think that Lando Norris and McLaren could still very much be in this fight. You're right to say that the variety of circuits that we've had leading up to this point indicates that they can perform at pretty much any track now. And, you know, Norris's pace in Spain was legitimate. He was an average of 0.3 of a second quicker on that last stint compared to Max Verstappen. And I don't necessarily think that Verstappen was managing more than he needed to. I still think if you gave Verstappen the opportunity to stay out front by 5 or 6 seconds, he'd have taken it if that car was capable. And obviously in that last stint, he wasn't. So, I think they do have legitimate pace. You look at the way that Lando Norris started, particularly that final stint in Spain, the average of his first 4 laps out of the pits was actually 0.2 of a second quicker than Verstappen's best lap of the Grand Prix. So he was very quick out the box, and he was very quick late on in that Grand Prix. Obviously, not enough laps to get the job done, but equally, if he sorts his start out, if Russell's not in the way, as was the case in Spain, then there's every chance that he could be fighting Verstappen for the win.
I think that point you just raised there, Ben, right at the end, is very key, is the sense that McLaren seem to have great pace when it comes to the end of races, when the fuel is lighter, maybe the tyres are fresher. Miami after the safety car, absolutely electric. Imola, last kind of 10, 15 laps, absolutely electric, the fastest on the track. We saw it again in Spain after the final stint had been completed between kind of that final pit stop at the end of the Grand Prix. Lando Norris, absolutely electric. The car is great on light fuel, new tyres. What's confusing is that they can't get the starts right. They seem to be quite hit and miss in qualifying. And then something else always seems to go wrong. They get stuck behind someone. They can't compete when the fuel is a heavy load, perhaps. And where Max Verstappen might never at this point be the outright fastest car and driver combined at any point in the Grand Prix. But because he's forever second fastest in every single category, it allows him to run off and actually end up winning because he's not hampered by any of these issues. So, Norris made a hash of the start. Spain, and we've seen him have issues with his starts before. He needs to get that right. Qualifying was good, but it was obviously mucked up by the start. And then once we got through to the actual racing, his proper top-end speed didn't kick in until later on in the Grand Prix. So they just need to get everything right. They need a complete package. Sorry, folks, you can't see this, but I'm actually watching Kirsty wet herself over some of the submissions we're going to have later on.
Can't wait for that one.
Yeah,
good. Stay tuned because clearly they're funny. But yeah, so I think McLaren need to put together the full package to make sure it's actually a great weekend, rather than just hoping that they can claw back lost time in the last 15 laps of a Grand Prix.
We saw in Barcelona, Harry, that Norris and Verstappen were quite comfortably clear of everyone else. Do you think it is a 2-horse race, or do you think that there could be other teams, other drivers in the mix?
I think it's clear it's those two that are get extracting the most from their respective machinery at the moment. I think if Ferrari can figure out how to get their car back to Monaco spec, then they could be in the mix, which is unlikely. And if the Mercedes jump up in pace is genuine and they are not indeed Spain merchants or Canada merchants, then you wouldn't want to count out Hamilton and Russell and that. So I'd say it's going to be those two at the front, just given where the past few races and the form they both had. But if the others can get it right, then I expect them to be in the mix. Austria famously is always quite close, especially in qualifying. So I wouldn't be surprised, if we have really close quality and you can see any one of those teams or drivers on pole.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Obviously, with Austria, it is not a lot more than a 1 minute lap, so there is the opportunity for tenths and half tenths to be separating drivers and teams. it's quite incredible. The last 6 races that we've had, 5 of them have been Norris and Verstappen 1 and 2 in one order or another. Obviously, Miami, Norris from Verstappen, and then the other 4, Verstappen leading home Norris. But yeah, only one of the last 6 races, it's not been those 2 as the top 2 overall, which is highly impressive. Lando Norris is now P2 in the championship, so he's 2 points clear of Charles Leclerc. And on the evidence of Spain, you would have to indicate that, yeah, I think those 2 drivers might well be clear of the rest. I think you're right to raise Ferrari and suggest maybe they can get back on top. Obviously, Imola, we know they were far closer than what they had in Barcelona. They were only about just over a tenth of a second per lap slower than Verstappen on that day, and they finished. Leclerc finished 8 seconds behind Verstappen, so they know that they can get far closer than what they did in Barcelona. And they'll be hoping the last couple of Grand Prix have just been a bit of a blip. What do you think, Sam?
I think you're right. But what I would look to is the speed trap data that we've seen over the last couple of Grand Prix. And of course, Austria essentially is one of probably the second biggest power track besides Monza. The amount of straight line speed that you need to compete here is key. And a very interesting note that I took down, especially in Catalonia, down the start finish straight, is actually both McLarens were within the bottom 10 of the speed trap. They sat around 3 or 4 kilometers an hour on average slower than George Russell, who was top of the straight line speed advantage. So whilst I do think that Red Bull, who were about 3rd or 4th in the speed trap with Max Verstappen, and McLaren, who, like I said, are in the bottom 10, are going to be very competitive this weekend. Ferrari and Mercedes are regularly outperforming both Red Bull and McLaren in speed trap areas. So if they can get their setup right, and we're seeing this more and more, especially from Mercedes. Of course, they did well in Canada with their first podium in the season. That was in a feature race. Of course, Hamilton picked one up in the sprint race. And then, of course, they picked up another podium again with Hamilton in Spain. If they can get that setup right, can feel comfortable in the car, I think that we are going to once again see an incredibly tight battle for the victory again. So I think expect to see Mercedes and Ferrari closer to the front than we have seen in previous Grand Prix.
Very interesting indeed. Shall we go on to some bold predictions?
They're going to be wrong.
Gather around, little children, and listen to my song. My F1 bold predictions, and how they'll all be wrong.
Yeah, they tend to be quite wrong these days, don't they? Sam, your enthusiasm for bold predictions is always high. You can go first.
Good. I'm glad we're starting off with me because it's going to be a 4-parter.
4?
Well,
4 and
Grow
on.
as many as 4. That's insane.
That is insane.
You'll see what I mean, though. It's not a true 4-parter. I've jazzed it up, really. I've sold you all for a packet of chips. But basically, every time that someone could top a session, i.e., sprint shootout 3, sprint race, qualifying 3, pole, and the race, there will be a different person to lead those sessions. So someone will get sprint qualifying pole, a different person will win the sprint race, a different person will get pole position, a different person will win the main Grand Prix.
Yeah, that's pretty bold.
That's a 4-parter, baby.
Shotgun not keeping track of all of that.
Shotgun going to be wrong by Friday afternoon.
I mean, there's not too much to keep it. It's just who's winning the sessions that we're watching. So I think we can keep up.
I mean, I'm probably going to I'll do some live stream stuff. So you'll see me get wrong live.
You know that like meme of that text where it's a really long text and the person goes, I ain't reading all that, so I'm really happy for you, or I'm sorry that's happened.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
me.
really happy for you, bro. Or sorry it happened.
What's your bold prediction, Harry?
Weirdly, mine's kind of almost related, but I'm going for the top 3 that are in the sprint. None of those will be in the top 3 of the race.
Wow.
Again, that is pretty bold.
I like that. That's good from you. You've had a couple of cheap ones. So well done. Back in the game.
Oh, come on.
Less of that. I
Ben,
think
what you got?
all 3 of ours are pretty bold this week. My bold prediction, and I'm casting my net out a little wider by saying
You're getting a good point.
this could happen in either sprint qualifying or main qualifying, but in one of those 2 sessions, 5 different teams will be knocked out in Q1.
Okay, so 5 of the constructors will. So you're going to have 5. So there'll be no double Bottas and Joe.
Correct.
No Magnus. Right. Cool. Okay.
In one of those 2 sessions.
All right.
Because I know if I said it would happen in qualifying, it'll happen in sprint qualifying. So yeah, I'm going with that.
That is okay, folks. Let us know. What's your bold predictions? Of course, Discord link in the description below. Get involved.
Absolutely. We'll take our first break of this episode. On the other side, we're talking Alpine and Flavio Briatore.
Again.
Again.
Alpine section of the week.
So true. Welcome back, everyone. Here we go. Former Renault boss Flavio Briatore has been named executive advisor to the Alpine team. According to a team statement, Briatore will predominantly focus on top-level areas of the team, including scouting top talent, providing insights on the driver market, assessing the current structure, and advising on strategic matters within the sport. This appointment marks his return to the team from which he was forced to resign in 2009 following the controversy over the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix, where Nelson Piquet Jr. intentionally crashed under team orders. This incident then benefited his teammate Alonso, who went on to win the race. Briatore was banned indefinitely by the FIA after being found guilty of orchestrating the incident, a charge he has consistently denied, and in 2010 France's High Court overturned that ban. Bruno Firmin was naturally asked about this at the weekend, and he said, Flavio is going to bring his experience. He is a 40-year experienced guy in F1. He knows how to operate a winning team. He was then asked to comment on the controversial nature of the appointment given Briatore's past, and he said, I don't really mind about the past. I'm always looking to the future and how we get better. Flavio can help us. He has very high level knowledge of F1. He knows a lot of people.
I'll do anything to win.
I love that last statement. He knows a lot of people, does Flavio?
Like Eden.
Do you think it's a slightly controversial hire, Harry?
Oh, no.
There it is.
As I tweeted this, well, it's not tweeting anymore, but posted this on X when they did it. The mad lads have only gone and done it. I can't believe they've done this. We spoke about this when the rumours were flying about Briatore, and we all, I think, collectively said that's a bad idea. But obviously, it's Alpine, and they don't do bad ideas. They only do ideas in their head. They have an idea, and they decide to do it. So, yeah, a part of me at this point is almost like, why not? Because like, how much lower can Alpine go? Like, they might as well just have Flavio Briatore in charge. I know it's not team principal, so it's slightly different, but this almost feels like a bit of a distraction hire. It's not like he's not coming in to do a huge amount here. It feels like it's almost like Bruno Firmin's like, I need to show that we have some people. I need to show that we have some people in this team.
You could have picked anyone, not someone who did what he did.
Well, exactly. They've got rid of everyone else as you listed out. So they have gone for a serial cheater. So good stuff. Let's guys again. Let's go back to the boardroom with Bruno Firmin and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Just the two of them sat around a table. Ryan Reynolds is like doing a Zoom call in. Guys, we need to bolster the team with some personnel, because I don't know if you noticed, but there's only three of us here. One of them's on Zoom. What should we do? Let's hire a guy who was banned indefinitely from F1. Great idea, guys. Handshake. See you next time for the next meeting. I just
Trent's idea, wasn't it? He's the one behind the scenes, really pulling the strings, isn't he?
This absolutely reeks of Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Someone clip that.
He's got his right foot all over it.
Yeah, it just feels like a bit of a desperate move, and like I said, like a distraction. But like, it's a high profile person, so people are going to talk about it. But actually, he's really there to solve things. And no offense to Flavio as well, he's getting on a bit now. He had a really major heart operation pretty recently, I'm sure.
74 is he now?
74. Yeah, he's not a spring chicken. So whether this is a wise move or not remains to be seen. I don't think it's going to do much, and I just think it's a bit of a PR thing to distract from the fact that they have no people.
Quite possibly. Sam, what do you make of the move? Is it as controversial as it's being made out to be? What do you think?
Yes, it is as controversial as it's being made out to be. This is such a one of those, when you do a team building exercise, when you go for an interview, you've got a group interview, you have to sit and work as a group to work out what the scenario might be. And this is such a moral versus kind of efficient decision. Should we hire the guy that race fixed to make our team better? Well, on one side, morally, no. He fixed a race. He essentially ruined one kid's career. It's still being investigated in one form or another with Felipe Massa now. There's some drama going. Like the fact that it's currently going to court about that decision anyway now reeks of bad moral, doesn't it? Ethically, not good. On the other side, all of Bruno Fumin's comments, which is what I call him permanently now, by the way, is correct. He knows a lot about Formula One. He knows a lot of personnel. He has been the manager of Fernando Alonso, which shows you, the fact that Alonso has ditched a lot in his life. He's not ditched Briatore. The guy knows how to keep good big personalities at bay. He knows what he's talking about. He's also, I understand where Alonso gets it from now, one of the most comfy men in the world when talking about their own ability. That guy is not short of his own know-how. When he came out with the quote, "I am a genius at the F1." Talk about being a good at the F1. He thinks he's a genius at the F1. So Alpine need it. Alpine are scrambling around in the mud. Oh, I've lost my glasses. Where are my glasses? Flavio Briatore is your glasses. He's the man that's going to help Alpine see. He's the guy that's going to guide you to the future. Whether it's morally right or not, I understand why they brought him in, and it does make a lot of sense. They are drowning in that ship, and they need a lifeboat. I can see why they've reached out to this one, because that 74-year-old recovering heart operation French dude, he's going to carry you to the shore. He's going to get you to safety. So well done, Flavio. It weirdly makes sense, and I can't wait to see it happen.
Oh, boy. One of these days, I am going to run out of words in the English language to describe what Alpine are doing, but today's not that day, fortunately, for a podcast. This is a bit of an alien concept in the UK, but often in the US, in a build up to, let's say, a network is showing some NFL games, and they'll have a pre-show, and on that pre-show they'll have ex legends of the sport, they'll have coaches, they'll have ex players, but they'll also have like a comedian as like just some comic relief to have on the show. That at this point is Alpine. Like they are just the comic relief of F1. Where they just give you something every week to have a bit of a chuckle about for 10 minutes and pretend the world's all okay. And I really appreciate Alpine for that. Is this a controversial hire? Yes, I think it's... I don't want to catastrophize this, but it's a bit of a dark day that this guy is just being allowed to waltz back into an official capacity in F1. Like you say, he has been managing Fernando Alonso. He has been in and around the sport. I know he had something to do with the introduction of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and he's close friends with Stefano Domenicali as well, but there hasn't been anything in an official capacity for a long time. And this is the guy that not only did he bring the sport into disrepute, not only did he, tarnish the legacy of a team, a sport, so many sponsors would have, were there on that car when that car crashed intentionally. Like, he has brought so much damage to this sport. I'm not saying he hasn't brought success as well. He definitely had success at the team, but so much damage. And then that very team is, I know it's been a while, but they're just okay with him being right back there again. I know that he's... is he technically working for Renault rather than Alpine? It's all a bit murky. And
it's the most Bernie-esque move without being in the Bernie era.
It's very F1. I know there was a phase not that long ago. I remember 6 months back when there was a lot of questions from team bosses, specifically relating to what happened with Christian Horner at the beginning of this year, calling out for increased transparency and more integrity within F1. And then something like this happens in June of the same year, and it's classic F1 in all the wrong ways, I'm afraid. But yeah, I'm sure it will go swimmingly and we won't have anything else to talk about for Alpine for a long time.
When you see Ocon crash into the wall in Austria and Gasly wins.
You know what? They won't even do that right anymore. I'll tell you what will happen. Both cars will crash intentionally. They will
I
get
thought
it
it
that
was me
wrong.
that was meant to crash.
Yeah, that's Alpine in 2024. On a more serious note, I mean, given the amount of controversy behind the hiring, Harry, you would think there must be some benefits that they can see to this hire. What can he bring Alpine in their current state?
He knows people. Is that what they're going
that
for?
Bring out the
Is it-
Rolodex.
Can he do anything with those people?
Yeah, do you want a job at Alpine? I mean, like I said, I just think this is a bit of a distraction hire. Yeah, I mean, Flav has got experience in F1 more than a lot of people on the grid. But the last championship he won for a team was 10. Well, not quite, but no, sorry, not 10. I was going to say
going.
almost 20 years ago. It's not quite 20 years ago, but it was a long time. And then before that, the last championship he won was almost 30 years ago. In fact, it was 29 years ago, 1995. So
That's why they've done it. Every anniversary, you might win.
They bring him back.
Yeah.
it's the only reason is the 30th anniversary of 1995. So that's not to discredit the success he did have in F1, but it wasn't like it was all the time. And in between those periods of 1994, 95, and then the 2005, 06, Renault and Benetton did nothing.
The square root of
they might
nothing.
have won. Yeah, they might have won 2 races potentially in that period. And that's about it. And then after 06, again, I know Flavio was gone by 2009, but the 07, 08, 09 period wasn't going well for them, hence why they had to get someone to crash into a wall to win a race. So the success he's had hasn't been that astounding, and that's again not to discredit 4 championships. My point is, it's not like he's a Jean Tot of the sport. He's had multiple championships. It's been sporadic to say the least. And at the time, he had much more backing from, I guess, the team. He also had either Fernando Alonso or Michael Schumacher in his car. And I don't know if you've noticed, but Alpine, as of next year, only have Pierre Gasly at the moment.
Well,
No offense,
maybe.
Pierre Gasly. Oh well, as it stands, they've got Pierre Gasly next year. So I think this is they're trying to just, I don't know, basing it off vibes, give it some noughties or 90s vibes and see how that goes. Because to be honest, I'm not sure what he's bringing other than experience, which at this point, do they need that? Because they had a lot of people who had experience, and I don't know if you noticed, they got rid of them. They're all gone.
Or they left.
Yeah, that all
Or they
makes
left,
no sense whatsoever. So that makes complete sense for Alpine. I'd like to. I'm going to share my theory on what I think is going on here, and I have to say at this point, it's only based on my instinct. It's not really based on anything else. But my instinct is this. So I think you'd only hire Briatore in this role for. I can see it only going 3 different ways. Firstly, he actually has a really limited impact. As you've mentioned, Harry, he's in his mid-70s. He's only been brought in as an executive advisor. His impact ends up being quite small. I would really question that. And like I say, if it doesn't make any sense, then I guess it does make sense for Alpine. But would you really go through the pain of hiring someone with such controversy for such a limited impact? I don't know. The second more crazy thing is that he's being lined up to replace Bruno Fumin, which I think, given where Briatore is in his career, is also fairly unlikely. Which leaves me to my third way I can see this going, and this is my theory. He's more of a, rather than an Alpine hire, he seems to be more of a Luca De Meo, CEO of Renault, hire. I think what's going on here is, and I know they keep saying the team's not for sale, the team's not for sale, the team's not for sale. I think Briatore's been brought in to do a bit of a job of, how's the team looking? Be my eyes and ears on the ground, Flavio. What am I looking at here? Is this salvageable? Do I need to invest more? Or actually, is it time that we think about selling this team? I think he's there to do a bit of a team-wide appraisal and feedback to De Meo, who will then act accordingly. That's my theory.
You just think he's got a little black book of contacts, and they need some bloody employees that are actually half decent, and they've gone,
Yeah,
this little circle. Yeah, they did have that. But I wonder if Flavio still. I mean, Alonso still trusts him. If someone like Alonso still trusts him, then maybe others do. Maybe he can pull some strings.
Maybe. We'll see.
Alonso's career moves have been stunningly fantastic, though, so that's good.
Well guided, I think, is what you're looking for.
He looked great in the points in Spain, didn't he? Oh boy. Right, that's enough Alpine for 1 week. Let's give our sprint pole, sprint win, pole 1, 2, 3 predictions for the weekend, and we'll start with Sam.
Okay, I've got to remember that I've got to do a different one for each one.
Yes.
Good luck, everyone.
Well done. So sprint pole. This is not relevant to my bold prediction. So if I don't get these right, but there's still 4 different people, I'm taking it as we're aware. Okay, the specifics don't count. Piastri sprint pole. Sprint wing is going to be George Russell.
Sure.
Qualifying pole Norris. Wing Max Verstappen.
Second and third.
Oh yeah, I forgot I've got to do that. Norris will be second. Lewis Hamilton will be third.
Sure. Standard weekend. Harry.
Yeah.
Sprint pole will be Max Verstappen. The sprint win will be Charles Leclerc. The pole will go to Lando Norris. And then the win will go to Max Verstappen. Norris will be second. And in third place will be Lewis Hamilton.
Sure. I've got sprint pole, Lando Norris. Sprint win, Lando Norris. Pole position, Max Verstappen. Win, Max Verstappen. Second place, Lando Norris. Third place, Oscar Piastri.
Good stuff. It's nice and varied today.
Indeed. I think we had about 8 different names in there, impressively. We'll take our second break on this episode, but stick around because on the other side, we've got Under Pressure.
Every week. I was trying not to do it.
It's like that guy who's like, all the pain's popping out.
The vein.
Yeah. Mustn't say it. Welcome back, everyone. It is, of course, time for Under Pressure, where we say who or what is under pressure going into a race weekend. This time, of course, being the Austrian Grand Prix. We'll each give our submission, and then we'll turn to some of our Discord members who have very gratefully given us a few to play out. So, Harry, kick us off.
My under pressure for the weekend is Williams, or other Williams team.
Slow in Spain.
Yeah, look, Spain was they were slow as balls in Spain. They don't like corners, I think is pretty fair to say. Austria doesn't have a lot of corners, so I'm hopeful that Williams can do better, and they need to do better. So Williams are under pressure for the weekend.
Straight line merchants are back.
I mean,
Exactly.
Sounds like a somewhat silly question because literally anything will be better than what Spain was, but what would better look like? What do you think they could be happy with? Like, do they need to pick up a point in one of the 2 races, or just not even that good? Like, what do you think?
I mean, the point would be good. Point 2 would be good, but I think at least back to where they were, they seem to be for the most part of the season, which is on the fringes. At least with Albon, they've been on the fringes a couple of times. So back towards that area, the top end of the. No, wait. How do I say that? How do I word that? Like the
top
11th, 12th, 13th. Yeah, exactly. 11, 12, 13. That area.
Sure, makes sense. Sam, who's under pressure?
I'm going Oscar Piastri this time. He has been mid so far this season, right? Yeah, well, you know,
Garbage.
nothing to ride home about. He's doing a job, but it's nothing spectacular. I just think he needs a weekend where he's matching Norris. Hasn't got to beat him, but he needs to be there the whole weekend with him. He needs to not bottle it in a qualifying session. He needs to make sure that his actual race finishes are there or thereabouts. Just have a solid all-round weekend where you are right there with your teammate and you bring home. If that car is capable of winning and Norris wins, you can't be outside the top 5 again. We can't make this a habit. We criticize other drivers for it. Sergio Perez is currently the most common one. You need to not fall into that trap. So, you know, be there with him. Match him.
Did you say nothing to ride home about?
I did.
As in like on a bike? Is
Yes.
that the same?
Is it right home about?
It's right, but I prefer ride.
Oh, as in
prefer
like
ride.
write a letter. Oh, you're writing home. Oh, that expression makes so much
I ain't
more
coming home
sense now.
tonight. Not going to do it.
I always wondered what that expression meant.
Flat
Now
tire,
I
boy.
know.
I like that a lot.
Get me a limousine. I'm not taking the bike.
What's for tea? Macaroni cheese? Nah, it's nothing to write home about. I'm staying at work.
Good. I didn't know that was the expression.
My under pressure is Zhou Guanyu. Now, if you listen to our Power Rankings episode for the Spanish Grand Prix on Patreon, and if you're not part of the Patreon, it is in our description of this episode, we gave him a lot of credit for the Spanish Grand Prix. It was a far better result and a far better performance than he's had in recent times. But as is always the case in F1, you need consistency. You need to keep that going. You need to have some momentum behind you. It really was a bit of a standout performance because there hasn't been a lot of standout performances from him so far. So he needs, I think he just needs to put together another good result. He still has a chance to be in F1 next year, whether it's at the Sauber team or whether it's Alpine. That's also being discussed. So he's still advertising himself, right? He's still marketing himself to try and get back on the grid. And he just needs to string together a few more good results. So I've gone for him. But what about our Discord, Harry?
Okay, first up we have beef. Ben sent the notification on Discord at 6:30, and at 6:31, Beef replied with her submission, and Seb quite rightly says, "Did you have these pre-recorded?" And Beef is not ashamed to admit that she does, which I respect.
Respect the honesty.
Wow.
She has it lined up.
She's so organised.
Anyway,
people pre-record their under pressures.
first up is Beef.
Hello, hope you're all well. I'm recording this on my day off. It's bloody lovely. I'm sat outside sunbathing. Dog sitting is going well. If you haven't got your ticket for the live show yet, get it because it's less than a week away and I'm going to be there. It's the Beef show, so look forward to seeing you all. Under pressure this week is Lando Norris. Might think, bizarre that, he's doing all right. Well, he's quite good at Austria, so I expect at least a podium. Get a win. Okay, bye.
The Beef
Not
show.
the Beef show.
No.
We're actually going to make it vegan, and she won't be allowed in, but we do have a live show. Tickets are available. Yeah, it's in Greenwich. It's on Tuesday, the 2nd of July. Get involved. We've got a few tickets left over. Thought it's going to be a lovely little gig, so come and join in.
Get involved. Yeah, lovely. Next up is Sebalicious.
Hello guys, my under pressure is the big white and red stripy things on the side of the tracks that people really like to go over and then complain that they went over them, even though it's in the rules you shouldn't go over them, but yet they will go over them and then cry about going over them. And then Ocon will somehow have a sarky comment about how he didn't go over them, but he ended up going over them and getting loads of penalties.
Speaking of,
I think he means curbs.
yes, he does. Have you seen some gravels being put in place?
I love this. I absolutely love
Yeah.
it. I'm all for it.
100%.
Yeah, that's excellent news. Cheers, Seb, who is also at the live show, I believe.
He is.
Is that correct?
Very
Another reason to
Sebalicious.
come. Next up is Vegan Spiker.
Hey, Vegan Spiker for Under Pressure for Austria. I know I've been absent for a while, but I promise I haven't missed an episode. I think Under Pressure probably is Ben, with Briatore now back at Enstone. He might be asked to cause a safety car so Sainz can get a podium and attract him to the team. But really, seriously, I think it's on Sainz to actually make a decision for his seat for 25.
Yeah, make your mind up, mate.
Making your mind up.
Next up is Wet K-Mac.
Oh, God.
It's Gene Haas's close personal friend, Wet K-Mag here. My under pressure is Chuckles. Monaco seemed to happen years ago, and this is what have you done for me now, sport? 2 races without a podium. I think he needs one. Love the podcast. Join the Patreon.
Thanks, Wet K-Mag.
2 worst results,
Wet
last 2
K-Mag.
races.
Big American Daddy is next.
Yeehaw.
This is Big American Daddy. The driver under pressure has got to be Liam Lawson. He's got to be thinking, what the hell have I got to do? These 2 knuckleheads can't do anything. Oh, God help us. We love you guys. Bye.
I'm
Love
interested
that.
to know like what he needs to like. Is he under pressure to approach Helmut Marko in the motorhome to be like, I need to be in for next season? Because on the track, I don't think he can do much.
Run.
Sure.
Sure. Next up is Vete Volta.
Hello, this is the Witte Walter again. A bit of a follow-up from last week's submission criticizing Harry's fantasy team.
Oh no,
I had a little look, and it's not good.
not.
He picked Williams and Aston Martin as his constructors, and has 10 mil left over from his
Spend your
spending
money!
cap. What are you doing? What are you doing? A gammon would make better picks at this point. Under pressure this week. Harry's credibility as the host of this podcast.
Goodness
Bye-bye.
me.
Roasted.
Absolutely roasted and taken down. Look, I'll be real. I've not changed it since the first time I changed it, which was at the start of the season. Apart from the time that I did that played that chip where you could change it for one race.
Yeah, you didn't understand that properly either.
Wrong. We'll do a full F1 fantasy update in a bit. But yeah.
God, you suck.
There's still time. Next up is Lance.
This is Lance, friend of the podcast and training, aka Better Than Stroll, with my under pressure for this week, which breaks my heart because it's Sam Sage, my buddy. Sam, you made a prediction that Perez will make the podium, which did not happen, and then you made a viral clip that bragging about getting your prediction right, and it was wrong. And you were smug about not getting called out, so now I got to call you out and be fair. Do better, Sam.
No.
Oh,
Banging
I hope,
Lance.
I hope the next one is.
Yeah. My turn.
Next
isn't
one's
it?
posted to you, Ben. We've got one more, and it's from Mojo Dojo Casa House.
Best name.
Hola, Cristian. Un cafecito. Buenas tardes, late breakers. MDCH. Thanks, man. Here from Peru, apparently now. Anyway, my under pressure for the Austin Grand Prix has to be Checo. If he's not fighting with the top 4 teams, he better be making breakfast for Christian to keep his seat. Cheers. Love from Peru again. Keep breaking late. Bye.
What's Checo serving up there?
Goodness me.
Cooking up a little frittata.
Love that.
A frittata.
I had bacon sarnie this morning. It was fantastic. I'm still eating the bacon that you guys didn't eat, by the way. There's still that bacon.
How much did you buy?
I got 20 rashers.
We're only there for a night.
I know. I don't know how much you would want.
20 rashers.
I got a large pack.
The biggest distributor of bacon in all of the southeast of England is Sam.
I'm eating my own stash. I've had so many bacon sarnies.
You got thousands of pounds worth. Do something with it.
I've had about 7 sarnies in the last 6 days. I am bacon.
Don't remember life
best
before
thing I've
bacon.
I'm eating so much bacon.
How does one live without bacon?
Oh, God. Sam and Ben are coming for a night. Sam and Harry coming for. Oh God, I don't know their names anymore.
Just call me Bacon.
The Bacon Boys.
I love how this podcast now has man who doesn't understand the value of money and man who doesn't understand the amount people can eat.
I'm so sweating now from laughing. It's so hot.
Oh
no.
God,
I'm becoming Bacon.
Oh boy. Let's move on to
God.
George Russell, who George Russell, who has said Mercedes are the most confident we've been in 3 seasons, which of course takes them back to the start of this era of F1 that they have really struggled with, but clearly thinks that they are on the right path. Your thoughts on his comments, Sam?
I mean, it's hard not to be confident when you finally put 2 podiums together, right? It does feel like they're going in somewhat of the right direction. What I would be quite curious to know from George Russ here, not to be confused with Tory MP being investigated. Russell George.
I almost said that. That's really funny.
And the amount of photos I've seen of George Russell being used in these posts as well. Bloody hell, he must hate it. Is what did they expect? What are they expecting? If they say they're feeling good, I want to know what they think their end goals are going to be for the overall season. Okay, it's great. They've got a couple of podiums. They've shared one each, of course, over the last 2 Grand Prix. They are taking a step in the right direction. They beat Ferrari on pure pace over the Spanish Grand Prix. They were both faster than the Ferrari team, which is great. Again, the same happened in Canada. But it also feels like is this the peak of their powers? Are they expecting it to double, in terms of the speed they pick up? Is the gap meant to come down by even more? I'd be very curious to know yes, they feel buoyed, they feel optimistic, which is good, and they should do. They are going in the right direction. They finally seem to understand something about their car. But is this it? Are we at the peak of the mountain now, and are they going to start coming back down again? Or actually, have they only just reached base camp, and they finally got all the right gear, and now it's time to start climbing? So that's what I want to know with George Russ. Great that they feel positive. It's hard. You wouldn't exactly come out and go, "Nah, mate, this has been absolute crap after 2 podiums." You wouldn't. But equally, is there more in the locker? So that's what I want to see. I'd like to see them fighting for second and third every single race. I'd like to see them having an outside shot at a wing. I hope that's where they're going. We'll have to see if that's the case.
What do you think of Russell's positivity, Harry?
I mean, good that there's some positivity coming out of Mercedes finally. And it's, some positivity coming out of Mercedes, and it's actually justified this time, and not just another Toto Wolff saying they understand the car. It's like you say, Sam, why wouldn't they be buoyed by the recent results? I think, as I said earlier, a part of me doesn't quite believe that it's not track specific, but given that it was good at Canada as well as Spain, which are two very different circuits, then you'd hope that actually they found a solution to some of their issues. My only concern is they did win. They have won a race since this era began, right? And I would hazard a guess if after Brazil 2022 you went to George Russell and said, how confident do you feel about your car? He'd be like, well, pretty good actually. I think the next year is going to be excellent. So with a pinch of salt, but yeah, it does potentially feel like Mercedes are, I don't want to say it because they keep saying it, but do they sort of understand their car now a little bit? I don't know. They've been saying it for months and years. But clearly, something they've done with this front wing has worked and unlocked some performance out of the Mercedes. So, yeah, I can understand why he's buoyed. They should be expecting another strong weekend in Austria.
I mean, recent results have been encouraging for the team. If you go back to what would the Constructors' Championship look like if the season started at Imola, which I think goes back 4 races possibly. They would be 4 points ahead of Ferrari, and they would only be 4 points behind Red Bull. So they are in the mix of both of those teams in this period of time. Interestingly enough, McLaren would be beating all 3 of them quite comfortably. But it shows that they are in the mix, at least recently. And if you look at the last 2 races, so as Sam, you mentioned, they've had a podium at both of the last 2 races, and the other driver in both instances has been in 4th place, and they had a fastest lap in there as well. That's good for 55 points in the last 2 races. That's their best 2-race stretch since this time last year, which was Monaco and Spain last year, where I think they had 56. So, you look at where they were a year ago, and it's been a while since they've been this good. I would also say, because obviously Spain is the thing that links both of those 2 race stretches as well. Last year, Lewis Hamilton was 24 seconds behind Verstappen in the race. This year, he was 17 seconds behind. So again, it's somewhat encouraging that they do seem to be getting closer. But to your point, Harry, I've been burned a lot by Mercedes over the last few years, and I don't want to be burned again. I do find it difficult to believe that they are more confident now than they were when they had a 1-2 finish at Brazil, including a sprint race win on that weekend as well, we should add. So, and there were other points in that season as well that they, at least results-wise, were better than where they are now or where they have been recently. So there was a 6-race stretch in the middle of 2022 where they had podiums every single race, and 2 of those were 2-3 finishes, so double podiums. Again, are they more encouraged by what they've got now versus then? I find that a little difficult to believe. But it just does go back to the point of what Sam mentioned of, like, where do they go from here? Do they kick on? What more have they got left in the locker? Because they've got to this sort of false horizon a couple of times over the last few years. Again, if you were going back to Spain of last year, they looked all right. Is it just another false horizon? Do they have another gear where they can actually go and challenge for these wins, or are they just going to drop back again? I think we'll only find out the answer to that question over the next few races.
I think after Silverstone, we'll know if they're actually in it to stay. We'll have gone to several different racetracks at that point, as you said, Ben. Starting from Imola, if you look at the likes of Imola, Monaco, Canada, Spain, Austria, and Silverstone, they have got a lot of different characteristics, different weather types, corner formats. If Mercedes are always in or about the podium places, they've made concrete steps forward. If they drop back to 7th and 8th again, it doesn't matter. None of it matters.
There is another comment, not from George Russell, but one from James Allison that actually makes me more encouraged that they're properly back. And I haven't written down the quote exactly, so I'll paraphrase it. But he essentially says that he can't believe that he or we have been complete fools and so stupid to miss something as obvious as what they have clearly missed with this car. Which makes me think, surely you only say that if you are confident you won't then drop back again. Because at that point, that comment looks really bad to say, God, look at how stupid we were. And then it just goes back to being as bad as it was before. That makes me think that they must have something sorted out.
Someone like James Allison doesn't come out with a comment like that. He's far qualified enough.
That's my logic, at least. Should we have a look at... Well, I'm sure Harry's answer is no, but should we have a look at F1 Fantasy?
Ben, I would love nothing more than to look at F1 Fantasy. Let's go. Bring it on.
What do you think, Harry?
Sure.
Good.
Great. Okay.
Love that from you. Enthusiasm.
Firstly, of course, looking at last weekend, that being the Spanish Grand Prix, we had two winners who were tied on 349 points. That was Fingers Crossed Racing and If You Didn't Win, You Lost. So well done to both of those teams. In terms of the season as a whole, we now have... this championship's even better than the championship we've got in real life F1. We've got a tie at the top between Prancing Zebras and Sweet Papayas. They're both on 2,436 points, with Sergeant for the Win in third place at the moment. But how are we doing? Well, Sam, you had a good weekend. You've gone up 18 positions. You're now 210th.
I'm having a good time. Top 200 is what I'm aiming for. I'll be very pleased.
I forgot to change my team and paid the price. I dropped 31 positions, so I'm now 311th.
Ugh.
Yeah, not a good one. I'll remember to change my team this week. And
I know you will.
It'll backfire and my old team will be good, but never mind. Kirsty, after a tough weekend at the Canadian Grand Prix, has bounced back in style.
That's our girl.
42 positions up on where she was. 443rd.
Incredible. Great job from her.
Harry.
I must be in the mix there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
It's a long old mix, boy. So, Harry, going into the Spanish weekend, you were in 1,338th. Can you guess whether you've improved or not?
Well, I mean, but on the balance of probability and how far down I am, I would say yes, I've improved.
That's another thing you've got wrong. You're down.
I know that I haven't.
You're down 14 positions, so your new position is 1,352nd.
Are you 1,000 places behind Ben?
Just over 1,000.
That's good.
I've got you exactly where I want you.
Hey, guess what,
exactly
Harry?
Where you want you.
If you just improve a little bit by 1,141 places, you'll still only be one behind Sam.
Right, do your team. You've got 10 mil in the bank. Source it out.
To be fair, you are probably winning the only spending 90% of your budget league. That's unofficial, but you might be winning that.
I'm going to see how much I've spent at the moment.
Thank you.
This is where I've spent 80 million.
That would be quite funny. There's still time to join. We've still got new teams coming in every single week, so you can join via the link that's in our description. All of the info you need is in there, and who knows, maybe you too can beat Harry Eade at Fantasy.
I've spent 99.9
coming as well.
No, I've spent everything. I've got about enough to buy some sweets left over.
Love that. All right, we'll take our...
I've got leftover to buy sweets.
Mate,
Quite a lot of them.
You can spend your on a catering event.
You could buy all of Sam's bacon for the amount you've got.
Please take it off me.
No, mate, I've got enough money for that.
So many rappers.
Right, we'll take our final break on this episode. On the other side, we're playing Show Me the Options. Welcome back, everyone. It's time for Show Me the Options.
Shut me my options! Hit of the summer.
Without
Goodness me.
a doubt. Show me the options. So there are 6 questions in front of me. Sam and Harry will take it in turns to give me a number, and I'll give them the question. If they're feeling brave and they think they can answer the question without any help at all, they can give it a go, and if they get it right, they get 2 points. But if they think they could use a few multiple choice options to help them out, all they have to say is, show me the options, at which point I'll give them 3 possible answers. If they then get it right, they get 1 point. So we'll start this one out with Sam. What number would you like?
Number 1, please.
Number 1. Who finished 3rd in the 2012 season?
Show me my options.
Your 3 options are Kimi Raikkonen, Mark Webber, and Felipe Massa.
Poop. They were all the names I had, and I hoped that only one of them would turn up. Mark Webber.
No, he had a bad season. He was down in 6th. What are you doing, Mark?
I knew he was off. I knew he was down. That's bad, isn't it? 6th is bad.
It was 1 position better than Felipe Massa, who was 7th, but Kimi Raikkonen was 3rd in that year's championship. Harry, your first question.
Number 5.
Number 5.
Every time.
Okay. Essay de Lago is a corner at which F1 circuit?
Show me my options, please.
Way!
Your 3 options are Paul Ricard, Interlagos, and the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico.
That one. Last one.
You're absolutely right.
You're
Yes.
right.
Which means you get 1 point for a correct answer with options given. 1-0 to Harry, and we're back to Sam.
Got like the Euros, this is.
Oh, here we go.
I'll have 3.
Way.
What? Oh, wait, no.
No. Just like the number 3. Jolyon Palmer
Oh, good.
scored 9 points in his F1 career. Where did he score 8 of them?
Oh, show me my options.
Your options are Singapore, Malaysia, and Spain.
None of those are what I was thinking it would be, so that's good. That's brilliant. I'm going to go with Malaysia.
It's not Malaysia. I'll tell you one person who would know the answer to this question. Valtteri Bottas. He has never, ever forgotten that beautiful move in Singapore in the wet.
Jolyon came from Malaysia when he sent the move. That's where he started.
That's where I've got confused.
Yeah.
Jolyon Palmer was still reeling from the fact that he'd learned from Autosport that he'd lost his seat for next year and planted a great move on Valtteri Bottas. We're back to you, Harry. You can have 2, 4, or 6.
6, please.
Number 6. How many drivers won a race in the 1999 F1 season?
Oh, he's getting this. Harry's got a blooming photographic memory. He's counting them on his fingers if you're not watching on YouTube.
Michael Schumacher probably did. Eddie Irvine did.
He was all right. He probably won.
Mick Hakkinen did. Frentzen. Johnny Herbert! 6.
He don't need no options. 6 is the correct answer. Hakkinen won 5 races. Irvine won 4. Frentzen, Coulthard, and Schumacher won 2 each. And then Johnny Herbert won the European Grand Prix that year.
Leeds!
Sam, back to you.
I'm losing 5-0.
3-0, isn't it?
3-0.
Yeah,
I've only had 2 questions.
Yeah.
So you get extra points though for getting it without the options.
Yeah, you got 2 for
Yeah,
that,
2.
and got 1 for the other.
Oh, I thought it was like a 3-1 scenario. Okay, sure. Number 2, please, Ben.
Number 2. At which circuit did Valtteri Bottas have his last podium?
Hold on, I'm trying to count back through the races that we would have had. Mexico?
It's not Mexico. He had one more recently. I'm assuming you're going back to his last Mercedes season.
I was.
He had one at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
Oh, that was at the end of the season.
It was, yes.
Oh, cheeky buggers.
Cheeky boogers. Now we have the truest question of all. Can Harry remember what numbers?
Come on, mate. You could do it.
Number 4.
Oh, he's done it!
Extra point for Harry.
Way!
On the current grid, who was the oldest when they won their first race?
That's a tough question without
That
options.
is. Show me my options. Come on.
Hey!
Your options are Valtteri Bottas, Sergio Perez, and Carlos Sainz.
Ooh.
I'm going to go with Perez.
You're absolutely right. Sergio Perez is the right answer. Bottas and Sainz both won their first race at 27. Perez was 30 when he won his first race. Which means...
I've done well there.
Well done, Harry. You claim the win.
Yeah.
I've won something.
You've won.
Yeah, I mean, you've made up for fantasy for that, haven't you, really?
That's true.
Nothing makes up for that.
It's a 1-1 draw, I guess, if we're including fantasy.
1,000 places clear. It's worth 1 point.
That was Show Me My Options.
Shut me my options!
Now,
Hearing me and Sam go way on a jingle is ridiculous.
Hearing me remix saying "Show me my options" is ridiculous.
Yeah.
pretty much. Whilst that segment does have an incredible jingle, and this next segment doesn't maybe have an incredible jingle on the soundboard, it is still the greatest segment in all of podcasting. It is the
LB question of the week.
He's got a right little cheeky look on his face, doesn't he? He's going to
We're gonna
wait
do
this one
live.
out.
We're doing this at the live show, and I am terrified.
We're not going to be out of there by 11 o'clock. are we?
I've got to get a train.
Goodness me.
Right. What was the question of the week?
Week.
There we go.
Very good.
Question of the week was, it was related to our live show. What's going to go wrong at the live show? Now, a lot of things is the accurate answer, of course, but very entertaining answers from all of you, as always. Any that caught your eye?
I just got to call this one out. It did get a lot of likes, but I do feel personally attacked because initially Seb goes, Sam will fall off the stage. I thought, it's fine. That's Seb. Seb says these things sometimes. He's going to be there. So, haha, good stuff. But then, in the comments, bloody Myra GP turns up and goes, dang, came here to say the same thing. I thought, why? Sorry. Is that the impression I give off to the community, is it? That I was going to collapse off the stage?
Proper slapstick comedy, isn't it?
Yeah. Ha oh, no. What do you think I do when I sit here and record the show?
Carry on late breaking. That's going to be
That's going to be it.
Fair shout.
Beef has said that she's going to take over, which
She
could well happen. Could well happen.
won.
There's one from Alicia who just said Max will announce his Mercedes move the day after, which feels very likely.
So true. J.E. Chapman says, Harry, who doesn't know the value of money, bought all the tickets and no one will show up.
Hang on a minute. Hang on.
No.
Hang on.
That's not right.
That can't be right.
I know the value of money.
That's
They're not
two
the same
very
person.
different people.
What
They're
is
very, very
the
different
man
people.
who doesn't know the value of money's name?
That's his name.
his name.
Crikey, that's a coincidence. That sounds a lot like the thing he doesn't understand.
Yeah, that's his government name.
Very, very fortunate.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Ben. You go.
I was going to say I have two answers that I wanted to say for two very different reasons. First one on Instagram was from Blake, who just said Shrek. I don't know what Shrek's going to do, but Shrek is going to go wrong. But my favourite answer actually came from Twitter this week, and it was from Merked in Real Life, who said this. Sam eats a fish finger sandwich during the live show and halfway through the podcast realises that fish don't have fingers, so what's it made of? And the next tweet is, OMG, it's made of the remainders of the audience from the previous live show in Texas. The horror!
What?
Goodness me.
So, that's good.
Couple on Instagram. One from Gessel, who says, better not be sausages out, which that's not that kind of show. And then one from Pinkus Rob with something that's obviously very dear to us is they're going to run out of carling. It's a real worry.
Joseph has said on Instagram, the gammon caterer pulls out last minute with 4 of these emojis.
Got to go to YouTube for that one. Visual reference. Jeremiah, an old school reference. Harry's microwave somehow disturbs the show.
Oh. That'd be impressive.
I mean, it could happen.
Yeah, it's very loud. Luke to the Max says Sam will forget his other commitment to destroy the ringing Mordor, ensuring darkness for centuries to come. Hope you like night races. I mean, do I regularly get confused with Samwise Gamgee? Is that a thing that happens?
I don't think I've ever done that.
I did get called a hobbit a couple of weeks ago.
Callie says Spanish Sam will show up and refuse to do the show in English. Please no.
I don't actually.
Hola.
Just with that, mi amo Sam.
Please no.
Goodness me.
Thank you, as always, for all of your submissions across Instagram and Twitter. We'll be back with another question next week, and we'll be reading those out, of course, live as part of our British GP preview show. So there will be a question of the week as normal, though. So, yes, do get your answers in on both. We have one other thing that we need to see off on today's episode, Sam, and that is birthday shout-outs for June.
Well remembered, Benjamin, indeed. And we've got loads for June. I think it's 10 of them. So, thank you to everyone that subscribes to our top tier on Patreon, the Hall of Fame tier. You get to be on our birthday shout-out list. A little fun fact, everyone. Only October trumps June for the amount of birthdays we've had submitted. So that's fun. Don't know what you want to do with that information, but use it as you will. So, happy birthday to Cecilia Keneally, June 5th. Happy birthday to Brandon on June 6th. Happy birthday to, I'm going to get this wrong and I'm so sorry, Inigo Colby. Your birthday, where I've lost my marker. Thank you. It's just in June, so I didn't want to give the exact date. I understand. Privacy is important. Happy birthday to Matt on June 25th, Andrew Weber June 30th, George on June 17th, Simon Sam LePlang Fang Saville on June 30th, Thomas Dryden on June the 11th, Ali M on June the 2nd, and Aaron Thompson on the 13th of June. Happy birthday to you. There you go.
Thank you, Sam. Until the singing. If you wouldn't mind, Sam, getting us out of here.
Folks, please, when we do Question of the Week, can everyone comment something to do with Girthy, so we have to read it out live in front of a live audience. Sing it with Annoyed Beng. Thank you very much. Do join us over the weekend. We're going to be doing some live stream stuff on Twitch across the live sessions. We're going to be having a episode on the Saturday, of course, that does a review of the sprint and qualifying. We'll then have an episode on Sunday for the full race. Power rankings will be out on Monday, and then the live preview show for Silverstone will be out next week, of course. So loads to come, loads of content. We've also recorded a couple of Patreon episodes this week. Content out your ears. Follow us on social media, Late Breaking F1, if you'd like to. Watch this on YouTube, Late Breaking F1 as well. Get in the Discord if you want to hear yourself on the show, which you can do possibly over the weekend if you get your submission in as well. Loads happening. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll see you on the next one. In the meantime, I've been Samuel Sage.
I've been Ben Hawking.
And I've been Bacon Boy.
And remember, keep breaking late.
So much bacon.
So much bacon.